Welcome to this explainer. Okay, so if you hear the word math and immediately just picture, rigid memorization and endless formulas, well, you're definitely not alone. But today we're flipping that script entirely. We're going to dive straight into the foundational concepts to prove that mathematical aptitude is actually this incredibly cohesive, interconnected toolkit for your success. Honestly, whether you're facing a brutal competitive exam or navigating complex professional assessments, mastering this kind of quantitative logic is absolutely the key to unlocking your full potential. Let's dive right into this by asking a really basic question. What do we actually mean when we talk about mathematical aptitude? Because, look, we have to contrast what people think math is with what it actually looks like out there in the professional world. It's a highly specific, targeted skill set, and trust me, it goes way deeper than just surface-level arithmetic. We've got to strip away all those old schoolhouse misconceptions to see what's really sitting at the core of this discipline. So, at its heart, mathematical aptitude is defined as the ability to apply quantitative concepts to solve problems logically and efficiently. Notice that? Logically and efficiently. It's not just about, magically arriving at the right answer. It's entirely about how you get there. That precise combination of logic and efficiency, that is the primary backbone for high-stakes assessments. Test evaluators, hiring managers, they don't want a human calculator. They literally have apps for that. What they really want to see is structured, highly efficient reasoning when you're under pressure. All right, Section 1, the core building blocks. Let's see how we actually lay this quantitative foundation. Now, we often take fractions for granted, right? But they are genuinely your brain's very first test in understanding parts of a whole. Plus, they test your ability to perform operations involving rational numbers. Think about it. Mastering how individual pieces integrate into a complete unit, that's step one of numerical fluency. It absolutely sets the baseline for literally everything else we're going to do with numbers. Building right alongside fractions, we have ratio and proportion. These serve as the essential tools we use to establish direct relationships between different quantities. While a fraction is just looking at a single whole, ratios let you compare completely different universes of data. They let you scale things up, scale things down, and somehow maintain logical consistency across entirely different magnitudes. It's really all about structural relationship building. Next up, percentages. Honestly, they are the universal language of relative change. Whether you're measuring a startup's massive growth, calculating the discount on your morning coffee, or making standardized comparisons between vastly different numbers, we completely rely on percentages. They just take complex, varying data points and make them instantly understandable. It's kind of like a translation tool for math. Then we have averages, which require strict precision to balance out wild variations. Imagine you're staring at just a mountain of chaotic information. Calculating the average is basically your way of finding your center of gravity. It brings order to the chaos, It allows you to effortlessly communicate the absolute main takeaway of that entire data set in just one clean number. Moving on to Section 2, practical and financial mechanics. This is where we start applying all of this to real-world scenarios. Take time and distance, for example. You're taking physical realities, like how fast you're moving, the distance to your goal, how long it takes, and you're translating all of that into a solvable mathematical framework. It is the ultimate test of taking physical constraints and turning them into abstract logic. So you aren't just solving a puzzle on a page, you are literally mapping out real-world movement and efficiency. And in the business arena, wow, calculating profit and loss is the ultimate balancing act. These concepts are specifically designed to test our ability to accurately calculate margins and actual business outcomes. We're talking about the literal difference between a project bleeding money and a thriving, viable operation. Professionals perform these calculations every single day just to keep their strategies on track. For deeper financial mathematics, interest and discounting are what actually govern the economy, investments, and loans. Understanding how money grows over time is so fascinating because, well, it's essentially mathematical time travel. It tests your ability to project current numbers into future realities, or conversely, to figure out what tomorrow's money is actually worth to you right now, today. All right, Section 3, interconnected problem solving. This is where we see these concepts in combined forms. Here is the trap we all fall into, viewing these concepts in total isolation. Because classroom math gives you one problem at a time, right? But real-world math, it throws them at you all at once. They frequently appear in heavily combined forms during actual aptitude tests and complex professional challenges. You might need to use a ratio to figure out a percentage, which then dictates your profit margin. The real magic, it happens in the combination. And together, these intertwined areas give us incredible combined benefits. By forcing your brain to, say, link a distance problem to an average or a fraction to a percentage, you aren't just doing math anymore, you are lifting heavy mental weights. This synthesis actively sharpens your logical thinking, it creates rapid numerical fluency, and it turns a whole bunch of disparate hurdles into one unified, fluid language. Which brings us to Section 4, the ultimate payoff. Let's look at the real-world outcomes of mastering all this. Mastery here means walking into a competitive exam and absolutely knowing you have the tools to crack it. It entirely eliminates that standard test anxiety. In your career, it provides incredible clarity, allowing you to quickly analyze business data without second-guessing yourself. And on a personal level, it just yields massive everyday efficiency. You simply process the world faster and a whole lot more accurately. Ultimately, mathematical aptitude is perfectly described as a discipline that blends calculation with reasoning. It's indispensable precisely because it pairs the hard, rigid rules of calculation with the flexible, highly critical nature of human thought. That perfect blend is exactly what guarantees both academic and practical success in life. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I'll leave you with this one thought. Knowing that mathematical aptitude isn't just a boring test subject, but a cohesive toolkit of logic and efficiency, how are you going to apply it to your next big real-world decision? Seriously, whether it's a financial investment, a massive business strategy, or simply optimizing your daily schedule, the logic is right there, waiting for you to use it.